Hey everybody, I just wanted to pop on and do a quick video about one of the components of our homeschool curriculum. It is probably the component that we spend the most time and the most resources on, and that is the science portion of our curriculum. We have noticed that it's something our son is really taking interest in, and he's also picking up quickly the things that we're teaching him, and he's asking for more, and he's asking to do more complex things. So we began to develop a little bit of a science kit. He's actually using it, so I can't show all of it. We have goggles, child-sized goggles, safety goggles. Both he and his brother have a pair. We have test tubes. We have multiple little petri dishes. We have pipettes. We have graduated cylinders. We have marked syringes. We have test tube holders, tweezers, all sorts of different things. And so we do science experiments. Today we actually did. It's sticking. We actually did glow-in-the-dark slime, and it actually turned into be more like a putty, and it kind of looks like a brain. And we made this today. We also, and we try to do one hands-on science experiment a week, and we have we do an actual science report. I will read the questions and he will answer. And we went over today actually what dictation versus transcription is. So after we filled out the form at the very bottom, he said dictated by his name, the scientist, transcribed by mommy, the science teacher. And I thought that was awesome. So I type out the beginning. I usually type out what the name of the experiment was, Glow-in-the-Dark Slime. And this is just our little logo, the Howell Homeschool. And what we think will happen, he said, I think it will turn into glow-in-the-dark putty. I think it will feel slippery or slimy. And then what we did, we cut open the powder, pour in dish, add 20 mils of water, stirred really fast, mashed it with our hand, charged it up with the lamp, watched it glow in the dark in our cupped hands. So then what actually happened was when we mixed it, it turned into putty. The putty glowed in the dark. And then he said, dictated by Aaron the scientist, transcribed by Mommy the science teacher. So science lab is something that we do every week. Another thing that we do every week is a science Lapbook. And I do not have one of our Lapbooks with us. I didn't think to bring that. But we use a large textbook that has animal information in it. And it talks about just like their prey, where they live, where they originate, what they eat, if they have a nest or a cage or a dam or whatever, cave, dam, whatever they live in, kind of like their habitat, their natural habitat. So what we do is on one day, usually on a Monday, we read through the information. Wednesday, we decide which information we want to, and then we decide what information we're going to use. Wednesday, we gather that. So we get pictures off the internet. We type out our facts that we want to use. I type them out, and then he can decide what colors he wants and fonts and that sort of thing. So he edits it. Then Friday afternoon, he gets to cut it out, and he glues it into a file folder. I got legal size file folders at Staples, a box of like 100 for 99 cents. They were on clearance. The box had gotten damaged. So we use the file folder as our Lapbook. And that is another large component of our science. That's kind of we call that animal exploration. We have this book, Science Secrets, and that has lots of really cool kind of science experiments, little, age-appropriate science experiments, things that you can do, things that you can try. And so we'll choose out of that, or we can always go on Pinterest if we need to. We also have the Usborne. We have a lot of Usborne books. Where does electricity come from? We have the human body book with the flashlight. We have a computer programming book. We have some Eric Carle books like This is Hot and Cold. I Wonder Why Penguins Don't Get Cold, and other questions about birds. And we have a lot of other books that we can look at during our science time. And then, of course, like I said, the science experiments. And we always do our lab report. That's really important to me. My degree is in science. It's in nursing. So and my husband also has a science background. He's a software engineer. So science is something that's very important to us. And I want to do it right. I want to teach him right from the beginning. People say it's excessive, but he likes doing it. He thinks it's fun, and I do the writing, and I read the questions, and he gives the answers, and it gives him that ability to see what do I think is going to happen, and then what actually happened, and then knowing what we used and the resources that we used and the ingredients, so to speak, and then identifying the steps. That's a great way to get some of that critical thinking. Get the framework for that. I want our kids to be critical thinkers. I want them to say, what do I think? But what's reality? What really happened? And, he's asking to do more and more and more of that. So it's not something that we've pushed on him by any means, but it's something that he himself has expressed interest in. And that's the beauty of homeschooling. When you have a child who says, I really love science, or I really like math, or I love language, or I love writing, you can spend time on that. And really, we are incorporating language skills into that. We're looking at math because we had to measure. We had to measure the water. We weighed out the packet of powder for the glow-in-the-dark slime. We had to think about how we were going to word things. We had to think about what we, when I said, what do you think will happen? He had to articulate and form sentences. And then as he gets older, he'll be writing those in himself. So he'll be reading, he'll be writing, he'll be reading on penmanship, because mine is terrible. But you're incorporating many, 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 many things into that science experiment. So it really is, spanning multiple subjects, but it's taking a twist on something that he's enjoying and he's excited about. So he's engaging in learning himself, and we're not forcing that learning on him. And it really is already developing that love for learning and that lifelong pursuit of knowledge. So that's it. That's how we do science. Of course, as he gets older, it's going to become more and more in depth. We're going to switch into different kinds of experiments. The theory that we're going to be learning, of course, is going to be more than just animal exploration and hot, cold, and seasons. But it definitely is. That's a great start, and we know that that's something he likes, and he's going to help direct his learning in that. And I'm wicked excited about that, and I get so excited when I see my kids engaging in learning. Last thing too about the hands-on science experiments is character development. When you're sitting in the science lab, you have to be attentive. You have to be watching what you're doing. You have to be focusing so that you don't bump into things and knock things over. You have to have self-control, because when you're using a pipette, you have to use small drops. Or you only add in one test tube at a time. You really are working on obedience, because you have to listen to the instructions that I'm saying. And if I say you cannot add those two together, and you do, you may end up with a chemical reaction that you're not expecting. We always teach honesty in science. We want to make sure we're being honest and thorough in what we're writing out, so that we know that all of the things we've used are accounted for. As you get older, if you go into research, which I know you say, oh, he's young yet. But if he goes into research later on, he can omit those things. And already we're laying that framework in, and it's really exciting to see him engage in that. So before I sign off, I just want to thank you again. Post below if you have any cool science experiments you've done. If you want to link to some videos that you have of your own science curriculum, or some of the science experiments maybe you guys have done, let us know, and we'll give you some feedback. Like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye-bye.